UVM's Southwick Hall. Known today as primarily a music building, it has seen many purposes in its time. It was on this site in 1946 that a very strange incident took place. Today we're going to be exploring an untold chapter in the history of Redstone campus, involving a war, a circus, and a terror lurking just within these walls. Southwick Hall was constructed in 1934 as a student union and activity center for female students. The building boasted athletic facilities, a lounge, meeting rooms, a kitchenette, and a full performance hall. From 1943 to 1946, during the height of World War II, Southwick Hall was closed and repurposed to provide lodging for Air Corps trainees, and student activities were forced to relocate elsewhere. In the year 1945, the war finally came to an end. To celebrate, the university hosted a grand fair on what is now the Redstone Green. There were carnival games, bandstands, circus acts, and a full menagerie of exotic animals. At around 9 o'clock that night, the trouble began. Somehow, a live gorilla managed to escape from captivity. Though none know for certain how the gorilla was released, some legends attribute this to the actions of a student, Jeremy Gambisi, who was seen drunkenly trying to break into the gorilla cage about an hour before. The gorilla stampeded through the fair and made its way to Southwick Hall, where a memorial concert was being held. The following is a preserved recording, originally commissioned by the University Orchestra. It remains the only surviving documentation of this incident. Miraculously, the gorilla's rampage left none dead, but many injured. The festivities were brought to a swift end, and Southwick Hall was evacuated. Police arrived on the scene to apprehend the gorilla, but it was nowhere to be found. A full-area gorilla hunt commenced, but after several weeks, authorities were forced to abandon their search. Soldiers that remained stationed in the building began to complain of stresses later nicknamed gorilla terrors. They reported scraping and knocking sounds from within the building's walls, strange smells, and faint, discordant music. These experiences were attributed by doctors to shell shock, commonly experienced by soldiers returned from the battlefield. The building's inhabitants insisted the phenomena they witnessed were entirely real. But were they? It wasn't until a full year later that the gorilla's fate was discovered. In 1946, Southwick Hall was reopened for student activities. Returning students complained that the building was cold and drafty. When maintenance arrived to assess the problem, what they found could only be described as an exterminator's worst nightmare. The long-dead remains of the gorilla were moldering in a neglected crawl space of the building. Medical opinion indicated the gorilla had survived around 2 months by eating rats in fiberglass insulation, but it eventually succumbed to malnutrition. The gorilla's remains were interred on Redstone campus after much petitioning from the student body. Its grave marker was later stolen, and the location of its true burial site remains a mystery. Legends say the ghost of that gorilla haunts Southwick Hall to this very day. Thank you for watching this program, and remember, sometimes fiction is stranger than truth.